Hello there and welcome to my reaction to Fallout 3 is an absolute nightmare, and this is why. By Up Is No Jump? Yeah. I still remember. I was waiting for this video for a long time and it wasn't coming out. But now here it is. So I'm excited because oh, let me unmute it. Because like Fallout 2 video came out like maybe 2 months ago? Like it's been a while. And I was waiting since then, and Fallout 3 is my first Fallout game, and if I will use nostalgia glasses for it, it's my favorite Fallout game entirely. But without nostalgia, it's obviously, objectively, it's not, like, I don't think it's as good story-wise as like Fallout 1 and 2, maybe it's not as good environmental, well, I guess also story-wise and environmentally wise as New Vegas, stuff like that, but it was my first game, so I still have like fond memories of it and stuff. Just spending a lot of time randomly finding secret encounters. It was fine. It was fun. But here it is. I'm recording this up almost right after the very good stream I had, so anybody who was on that stream, thank you again. And I just want to say that because I love it. And I guess let's begin with this. So if you want to help out the channel, there's a link in the description page, and if you want to get videos early, there's a Patreon page. And if you don't want to do any of that, like, comment, subscribe. That also helps a lot. Let's begin.
1 and 2 were released only on PC, back when knowing how to run a game on a computer was essentially a specialist skill. So although these games were popular in the PC gamer circles, their cultural spread was somewhat limited. It was only when Fallout 3 was released that the Fallout series became a household name. After this, everyone had heard of it. Even the objectively hilarious Conan O'Brien pretended to like it for a few more billion views.
There's a jet engine coming out his ass? Look at how muscular my ass is.
That's not even Fallout 3.
Both the Fallout games before it were made by totally different developers, and this third game followed that trend. And so I'm of course talking about the objectively amazing Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel.
Oh, I never played that one.
Fallout 3. Look, here's the timeline. Third. I asked for the game, but Emma got me the book. I don't know why.
Fallout Tactics is a lot like the original 2 games, but with a slightly fresh...
So is this gonna be about tactics? Did I get baited? I hope not. Like, if you don't know, yes, Fallout Tactics came out after, and after Fallout Tactics was supposed to be Fallout Van Buren, or Van Buren. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but that was supposed to come out as actual Fallout 3, still like isometric camera. I used that word on the stream today, and I forgot it immediately. I think it's isometric. Like this kind of camera, or like the same kind of camera as Fallout and Fallout 2. And I think it was supposed to be done by the creators of the neither Interplay or Black Isle, but they went into bankruptcy. Whoever was supposed to make it went to bankruptcy. So the rights were sold, and then a few years later, actual Fallout 3 happened, done by Bethesda themselves.
Paint. It follows a squad of the Brotherhood of Steel that was separated from the main group and is now stranded in the wasteland. Gameplay-wise, it's exclusively a tactical-based shooter. This means there isn't really any dialogue choices in this game. Instead of the speech skill, we have piloting. There is, of course, still dialogue. It's just we don't have as much control over the story as we usually would in the
Actually, when I said I never played this game, it was a little bit of a lie. I started it. I don't remember what happened afterwards. Like it was in the very beginning with like a group of people. I think I moved around a little bit and I just closed the game forever. I'm not sure why. Like it doesn't look, combat-wise at least, it doesn't look maybe too different from Fallout 1 and 2. Maybe because it's not like an open world, same kind of game. So I didn't care enough about it.
Some of the dialogue we do have is very 90s.
What's my boy doing with the Barbie?
I mean, dated views aside, you don't even seem to have a fucking dog.
The story that does take place is actually quite an interesting examination of the Brotherhood of Steel's role within the Fallout series. You see, at the beginning of... Wait.
What is happening?
Oh, for God's sake! What? Where am I? What's going on? Who did this? Wait. What's that over there?
Hello, human. It is I, a mysterious stranger.
Sid, is that you?
No.
Sid, you're the only talking cat I know. I know it's you. You haven't even masked your voice.
Oh, hello, human. It is I, a mysterious stranger. Read this.
Yeah.
Ah. Well, I do love money.
Well, of course. Yeah, okay, he's not gonna go through tactics. That's good. I mean, fair enough. Oof, I didn't get baited. Not fully.
When Fallout 3 first came out, I thought it was amazing. Sure, it's gained
Same.
some notoriety now as somehow the very worst video game ever made. But it came out
Yeah.
13 years ago, you gotta cut it some slack. It's older than the cat that is currently holding me hostage.
Nowadays, this game is a little tricky to get running on Windows 10. So that's the
Oh, is
first
it? I
thing
actually
we're
never
gonna
tried
do.
to play it. I think
Getting
last time I
Fallout
played it
3
was
to work
Windows
properly
7.
through Steam is genuinely an absolute nightmare. Bethesda, making a game that doesn't work properly? Windows 10 seems to be the main reason this game won't run, but the specific issues people have seem to vary wildly. For me, issue 1 in my cornucopia of errors was that the game simply wouldn't start. And after some digging, I found that this was because Fallout 3 requires you to have games for Windows.
I forgot.
What's that I hear you on?
Fucking games for Windows Live is such a cancer. I'm sorry, that's actually an insult for anybody who has cancer. That's an insult for the disease. I'm sorry.
Ask well. Games for Windows Live, or KOFO, was an online gaming service used by Games for Windows.
Yeah.
Was. If you're trying to play Fallout 3 through Steam, it simply won't run without this now non-existent piece of software. This is like a cookbook being distributed with its signature dish being roast fucking diplodocus. So after a significant number of tries, I found this fix, which lets you download the Games for Windows Live file that Fallout 3 is looking for.
It gives you the file. Why doesn't Bethesda just give us this file?
The thing is, this is widely reported
Yeah.
on Steam, and it's completely ruining Fallout 3's reputation. I just can't believe Bethesda is ignoring this problem, and thus allowing their flagship brand to bomb quite so Oh wait, that's right.
I wanted to say that. God damn it, I wanted to say that.
Even Windows seems aware of this problem and warns me every time I try to open the game that it probably isn't going to work. Are you sure you want to do this, man? I just care about you.
Oh, hi. Me again. Just here to quickly say that this problem was fixed last month. 7 years Fallout 3
Oh, was
on
it?
Steam, and it was fixed 1 week after I finished my commentary. Did they do this on purpose? I think they're onto me.
This isn't anything new, by the way. If I open up Skyrim VR without first turning on my VR controllers, the game simply won't work and I have to reboot all of Steam. And right now, Fallout 4 is so poorly optimized, playing it is like watching someone smear 2 playthroughs of the game together. Anywho, this fix meant that I could now play long enough to see the opening of the game, which is yourself being born.
Are you a boy or a girl?
See, this is what happens when you let Liam Neeson deliver your baby.
I'm your daddy, little guy. I'm your...
Like, it's a bit awkward the way it starts, but I kind of like it because you go through your entire life pretty much like since the actual birth, and then like it skips, of course, years and for you to be a normal grown-up human being, but it's still, I think it's pretty cool. You don't see that like very often.
Your daddy.
You decide how your character looks, leading to the uncomfortable arousal of your own mother.
Oh, very strapping.
And it turns out to be so overpowering she immediately dies.
Yeah.
It's hardly any surprise though, Bethesda have always been really weird about killing family members we barely met. You're wheeled away while Liam Neeson provides life support and the game crashes to desktop. Oh good.
Oh.
A soul-sucking hour of troubleshooting later, and I found this guide that suggested a few different fixes. The one that was causing my issue though is that I shouldn't have been running the game in full screen mode. Well, isn't this much more immersive? So it fixed the crashing and I was finally able to watch myself grow up in Vault 101. Notably, you get to experience your 10th birthday party, and I must admit it's all very immersive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Really?
Oh, hi! You may think I'm crying about the game, but no, I'm locked up in a subterranean vault, remember? Also, I just found this saw. Bollocks. So after another little search, I found that Fallout 3 can be prone to freezing whenever you're inside any building. Look, I'm not going to question it, it's fine. Open the INI files, change this to this, add this, and the problem's fixed. The good news is
Like,
that...
when I got Fallout 3, I got it, like, I didn't buy it, but I got it, my friend came to my house with a disc, and we installed it, and I played with it. I didn't have internet, so if I had any of those problems, I would have been fucked. So it neither was working perfectly on Windows XP, which is, I think, possible because it's pretty much it fucking came out when Windows XP was a thing, or I lucked out. I didn't think. Okay.
That's actually it.
Sorry.
The game, for me at least, now only crashed every few hours. I would complain that that's unacceptable or something, but I'm a little busy.
You're gonna break the saw?
As I said,
God.
the first few hours of this game are dedicated to you growing up in an underground
Goat.
vault safe from the nuclear wasteland. And I love it. Fuck you. You grew up with your dad, voiced
Yes,
by Liam
it's
Neeson,
great.
and since he's the main driving force of the story, it actually makes a lot of sense that we spend a decent chunk of time with him. Sure, he's so two-dimensional, I'm worried that any moment he might collapse under the weight of his own hair, but what can you do?
Take care, sweetie. I got out of here, and good luck.
Bye, Dad. One day your father escapes from the vault, and as a result, the overseer, Mr. Nazi McNaz's son, issues your death warrant, because... I don't know. It's time for combat to start. Fortunately, your friend Amata finds you and gives you a gun to protect yourself.
Even with that pistol, I don't think you'll win a fight against the whole security force.
Oh, Amata, you innocent thing. I warned you all not to take me on. Do we, peacefully escape? Walk out into the wasteland and catch our first glimpse of the real world. And from this point on, the entire game is open to you. You can go literally anywhere on the map. And my complex thoughts about this can be summed up by plagiarizing Bo Burnham. Welcome to the wasteland. Have a look around. Any
I'm all for it.
things with
I love that
brains to blow
song.
up can be found. We've got miles of train tunnels, some better, most worse.
Yeah.
If empty rooms don't interest you, you definitely wouldn't be the first. Welcome to the wasteland. You know, I'm going to stop there because of copyright issues. Now, before you all fucking
Fair
murder
enough.
me, hear me out. The first place I went to was Megaton, which, you know what, is a
That's
great location too, okay?
how it's supposed to be,
I
actually.
like it here. It looks just like the sort of place that would crop up in a post-apocalyptic world filled with garbage. Now, I will admit, finding your way around here is a bit of a
Garbage day.
challenge, but otherwise, it gives us some of the game's most memorable characters and set pieces. We eventually meet Moira, who's the main quest giver in this area, and she sends us off to collect some landmines. We don't have any other pressing things to do, so we of course accept. And basically, she tells us to travel from here to here. So off we go on our first journey. Now on the surface, this expedition we go on is fabulous. The visual style and soundtrack in this game work together to create a delightful atmosphere.
It's immersive.
Just like Skyrim, this game perfectly captures the wonder and thrill of exploration, and that's not an easy thing to achieve. But this game is so open and so incredibly large. Just look at all these locations you can visit.
Yeah.
Look at them. Is it realistically possible that all these places are worth visiting? No. Sorry, the
No.
short answer is no. The long
Yeah.
answer is fuck no. In the walk to get these landmines, for example, I stumbled across and explored in their entirety Springvale
Like,
School.
But the thing is that when you're playing it for the first time, well, if you have enough time, of course, on your hands, and when I played it, I was what? 13, maybe 14 at max for the first time. You want to explore it and you have enough time on your hands to do so. What are you gonna do? Homework from school? Fuck off. and you don't, because you're playing for the first time, you don't know if that location is worth it or not. So you're gonna go to every location, and a lot of locations, even if don't seem to be worth it, can have some kind of puzzle in them, or like a little side quest that would help you, like maybe just for some experience, some caps, some items, whatever it is. A lot of locations also have special weapons just hidden in a way. Could be behind a very, very, very tough lock that you can't fucking unlock in the beginning. That's besides the point.
Scrapyard, Bethesda Ruins, and the MDPL power station. And I tell you now, none of these locations have a single character you can talk to or quest you can receive. Yes, there's a dog, but he can hardly hold a conversation. Aroo? I mean, he is a really good boy, though.
He is.
Springvale
Dogmeat
School
is
is
great.
a slight exception, as it has one computer terminal. But it contains nothing more than a few lines of disappointing dialogue that quickly lead you to a dead end, and that's it. These areas I named are some of the closest to where you start in the game, and yet there's almost nothing here. On a related note, I would really like to meet the programming team so mature that they were able to insert the ruins of their own offices into a video game and not fill it with notes and computer logs passive-aggressively shaming their fellow colleagues. When I was in my office job, I was genuinely told I couldn't bring a fan into work because it might upset the other employees. And so if I was developing a game, I would have hidden a skeleton under a table, named it Jump Is Not Up, and left him with a single note that reads, "Died of heat stroke after someone let him steam to death in his company-enforced tie and blazer. Thanks, Marjorie." In Fallout 2, practically every grave you find has a secret message like this from the developers. Here lies T.D. Hamilton, a stank hoe that should have been dead a long time ago. Rest in hell, bitch.
Sounds like whoever wrote that wasn't allowed any air conditioning either. Am I right? I'm surely going mad.
The point I'm trying to make here is at least 50% of all the locations in this game have practically nothing in them. Usually it's just enemies to kill, loot to find, and skill points to collect. And because loot really is the primary reward for exploration, before I'd even seen a fifth of this game, I had in my inventory 13 mini nuclear warheads, which are this game's equivalent of opening up the console command bar and typing kill all. Look at them go.
I don't believe you. Not because it's not possible. It might be. I don't know. But because of the first scenes where you use a minigun in the Vault 101. Is that the vault? I think so, right? I don't remember. In the first vault, minigun, a flamethrower, stuff like that. You might have done this yourself. I don't know.
What have I done? Most of the time, you're only exploring so that you can kill enemies, which means you can loot more ammo for the singular purpose of killing more enemies. It means Fallout 3 quickly becomes this perfect Mobius strip of bullshit. And speaking of an inescapable loop of
but you can get more items than just bullets, and also you get experience from killing enemies. It's an RPG, after all.
purgatory, the level design in this game is awful. It's fitting that this game is filled with empty locations, because the buildings too are packed with empty rooms. Why does Bethesda Ruins need to have so many empty bathrooms? What are you trying to tell us? The interiors of buildings are far too open.
But they're better than Amazon.
This single hallway in Springvale School branches off into 11 different hallways and rooms, so it's impossible to keep track of where you've been. And this would be fine, but the map system doesn't account for this at all. Most locations in this game have 2 or more floors, yet the maps themselves are always compressed into a bird's eye view of a single 2D image. This wall, it could be anywhere. First floor, second floor, the void between dimensions where the living and dead coexist. However, when this game came out, I think its hugely open-ended exploration actually worked incredibly well. Now, this is because the more you traveled, the more unique places you saw and unique enemies you discovered to interact with. There are ghouls, feral ghouls, glowing ghouls, slavers, super mutants, centaurs, brahmin, mole rats, deathclaws, giant ants, rad scorpions, raiders, aliens, sentry bots, Mr. Handies, robo-brains, fucking shaft. You never knew what the game was going to awkwardly segue to next. The drawback was all the Fallout 2 fans, you know, all 7 of them, who played Fallout 3 when it came out, knew that none of these ideas were particularly original. Every one of those creatures I just named are from the previous games. There's no denying that Bethesda has adapted these ideas into the third dimension incredibly well. All these creatures look amazing, but there's no depth to any of them. You just break their legs and enjoy their slow descent into the barrel of your gun. Hello, Darkness, my old friend. Take the robo-brains, for example. In Fallout 2, you travel through an entire research facility, uncovering all the terrible experiments being done there, and it all culminates in a puzzle where you perform brain surgery, eventually merging man and machine in a horrible abomination of science and nature. Commands. Probably shouldn't have done this. This event alone has discovery, intrigue, context, challenge, a reveal. And how are they introduced in Fallout 3? Is that a robot with a human brain? Stand back. I'm going to make first contact.
Shoot it. Yeah.
America! There's basically no context given to most of the enemies in this game, and given how focused it is on combat, it's a huge misstep as you have no reason to dislike any of these creatures. Like, who the fuck are the Talon Merc Company?
I hear that you could have been useful. Ah, well, time to die. No, I don't think so.
Well, can you pass
That
actions?
interaction there
I
is
actually
the
don't know.
absolute perfect microcosm for almost all the enemies you meet in this game.
You want to buy slaves, and I want to sell them.
Okay, thanks for clearing that one up. The Talon Company is literally everywhere, and the only context I could find on them was this woman, Riley.
Those fucks went into a settlement a year or two ago and killed everyone. Women, children, everyone. That's the sort of crap Talon Company does.
Well, that's a unique trait, except for the Raiders, Slavers, Super Mutants, Enclave. But don't worry, the Talon Company is different. They wear leather armor, which is perfect for repairing mine. In a game so much better, I'm surprised it hasn't spawned its own fucking religion. You learn that there's a military group called the NCR who in one skirmish killed numerous innocent women and children. This all occurred at a raider settlement called Bitter Springs, but as you look into it, you find that this event is shrouded with misinformation. Even people who were at the battle give entirely different accounts of what happened. Some say the NCR's long fight with the raiders caused them to snap. Others say they misinterpreted military intel. You quickly realize it's not going to be easy to know who to trust, let alone side with. Bitter Springs acts not only to shed moral ambiguity onto basically everyone you meet in this game, it encompasses the overarching theme of New Vegas and Fallout as a whole, which is in one way or another war taints all that it touches, even those who seem to be trying to end the violence. All you can do in this game is analyze the conflicting perspectives of those involved and make your own mind up on which flawed ideology to support. Oh god, it's just so fucking delectable. So, Fallout 3, right? Bitter Springs alone demonstrates how Fallout 3 has
Well, technically, Fallout New Vegas came out after Fallout 3, so they learned on their mistakes. And the fact that it's a different developer as well. But, you know, they just read the reviews for Fallout 3, or like, the quests, like, maybe need more, to be more great than just like, we good, they bad, shoot them. So they changed that. Well, you know, it's an upgrade. It's always, when a sequel comes out, it's always must be an upgrade. It doesn't happen very often though, but
has no real overarching goal or tangible themes. War never changes. This has no real bearing here, it's just a juicy line written by a different development team. Who in Fallout 3 encompasses this statement? Him? Sure, there's a lot of miniguns and everyone's dirty all the time, but the pure chaos and extreme open-ended nature of Fallout 3 doesn't allow any faction within it to feel like it has any meaningful goal. Oh god, look at me. I started talking about Fallout New Vegas and began comparing it to another game, like comparing the Sistine Chapel to that time Sid peed on the rug.
Human. Because it reminds you the gravity of your situation.
I wanted to say something, but I forgot. So let me. Oh yeah, there is a lot of combat, but it kind of replaces the world map that you had in Fallout 1 and 2, where you have random encounters. Instead of having random encounters, you just encounter everything all the fucking time. So it's kind of a good alternative. I don't know. It's just a big change between first 2 and then 3. They had to do something about it.
Because it reminds you the
It's not
gravity of your situation.
not necessarily a perfect. Well, it's definitely not a perfect transition to 3D world from 2D, but it could have been way worse. And if you think that it's the worst game, could be worse, Fallout 76 exists. And Fallout 4, I think Fallout 4 is worse than 3. Maybe not by far. Nah, I don't. Again, with nostalgia, it's by far, but I don't know.
I don't really like Fallout 3, but actually, I think it's really good.
Really?
I probably should have started with this part. Sure, I have quite a few complaints, but between Fallout 3's avalanche of empty locations and forgettable factions, it has some of the best.
You can tell that he was doing this for a long time because he did show the amount of dislikes. And it's not the same. And I can see them because I did install the extension for the Google Chrome to see the dislikes, because fuck YouTube.
Side quests I've ever played in a video.
Sorry for that.
There's a town filled with genetically modified fire-breathing ants with a mad science.
Those monsters, they're gonna get me.
An area overrun by deathclaws, a society of cannibals now turned vampires, a town menaced by an insane superhero and villain, a talking tree that quite understandably requests not to be set on fire.
The talking tree is actually a reference to Fallout 2, which was the reference to Fallout 1. I don't know if the reference is the right word to do, but it's the same character that appeared in Fallout 2 and 1, and he was getting progressively worse, becoming a full-on fucking tree in the Fallout 3 in the Oasis. I'm playing on the controller, are you mad? That's what the game is.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Crashing.
Why do I always do this?
My favorite location in possibly the
Well,
whole
if you
game
saved,
is
it's
the
fine.
Dunwich building. You see, on its surface, this building is just an empty location with a bunch of ghouls to kill. It seems no different to the other 100 empty buildings this game has. But quickly you see there are several audio logs scattered around that captures someone's final hours here. You also witness a flashback, there's a door that swings open on its own. Even the lighting in this area is different from the rest of the game to fit the tone they're going for. It really creates an incredibly compelling atmosphere.
It's warm against the stone. I'll just rest a while.
But best of all that was needed to achieve this was a few simple ideas and 3 or 4 minutes of voice acting.
And that's the beauty of it. You can spruce up any dingy basement with some color correction and a few spooky set pieces. I couldn't be bothered to add any more.
This location shows you how much better Fallout 3, and kind of Bethesda games as a whole, could be with a little bit of redirection. You see, Bethesda has it. You know?
Okay. I don't know, before he says anything else, I kind of want to disagree with his thing. Because if, like, every building was like that, even, like, if they could make actually every building to be, like, have audio logs and stuff like that, and maybe flashbacks, door swings, stuff like that, I don't think it would feel special. Like, this building, this situation feels special. It feels... I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing. And if that happened, like, in every building, or, like, let's say in every second building... I just realized I forgot to turn on the Christmas lights. Whatever. In every second building, I feel like you're just gonna be drawn. Like, oh, another building, more audio logs to listen to. Like, I just want to kill things, you know? So having, like, some, like, good things very, very deep in... Like, I think it adds to the memory. I don't know. For me, at least. You can disagree all you want, but... I think it's better if they have, like... Maybe more than one. I don't know if there are more than one. But it's possible that he didn't go, like, through every fucking location. I guess he could have googled that interesting location, just went and explored them himself. But whatever. Like, maybe a couple locations like this. Because there are a lot of audio logs in different buildings. It could be just one. There are a lot of logs in, like, PCs and stuff like that. So there's a lot of dialogue and stuff. And Fallout New Vegas, of course, does it better because there's more stuff.
Oh, they clearly had the creativity to make Fallout 3 truly incredible. But I think due to some very poor fundamental choices, they missed the mark. And these are fundamental issues. Contrary to what you might hear, this game can't be fixed by mods that, I don't know, touch up the mannequins.
You leave her out of this.
If they had just focused on putting a couple dozen less of these humongous, sprawling, empty buildings and elaborated a little bit more on the good ideas they already had, the game would be worlds better. If you comb through this game, I believe it already has enough great content for it to be a near masterpiece. I just can't fucking find any of it half the time because it's hidden between all the derelict metro tunnels, drive-in theaters, abandoned towns, sewers, caves, boats, power stations, radio stations, relay stations, train stations. The combat in this game is also really good. Yeah.
A lot of, like, relay stations or radio stations or both, when you turn them on, they give you a signal that you can follow and find, like, an underground, usually little facility that actually sends, like, SOS signal, stuff like that. And that's pretty cool. That's just a little tidbit. I don't know if you're gonna go through it.
I said it. Sure, the guns are impossible to aim. I mean, look at this. Look at it. One bullet went here and another one over there.
Increase your small guns.
It's all well and good, but this is the best assault rifle in the entire game, and I have a gun skill of 100%.
Then my apologies. I spoke too soon. Things that didn't age well, huh?
Don't worry, I know. Oh, actually, that's how machine guns work. I should know, I have 24 of them. Look, as someone with an acceptable concentration of lead in their blood...
For like a big FPS, I think it does miss like an aim... What is it called? Well, an aim. You know, like in most shooters, you just right click and you go for it. I don't think that's in the game. If it is, I'm incredibly fucking stupid, but I don't think it is.
I'm no expert on
Please.
firearms, but either way,
I
this makes
think
the rapid
Vegas
fire
doesn't
weapons
have
in this
it
game
either.
completely useless at medium to long range, which really means they have no use
Yes.
at all, because at close range, you might as well do this.
How many times you save to do that?
Because there are so many other weapons in this.
That is true, like, but you can use VOTs, which is kind of an important thing when you're talking about combat. So it's weird he didn't like start with it, but I hope he's gonna go through it.
And they're all so incredibly varied and fun to use. Without even nearly mentioning all of them, there are pistols, silence pistols, sniper rifles.
No, you can't name. What the fuck am I talking about? Like, you can aim down the sniper rifles and stuff like that, so... Okay, I'm just...
Rifles, shotguns,
I'm
dart
brain
guns,
dead.
machine
It's
guns,
okay.
submachine guns.
Okay, yeah, I can see that's a lot.
Plasma rifles, lasers, laser rifles, alien blasters, missile launchers, nuclear warhead launchers, miniguns, flamethrowers, a hypnotizer, 10 different types of grenades and mines.
That's all of them, right?
Axes, swords, blades, knives, chainsaws, bats, clubs, shovels, a sword that's on fire, a rifle that can pin body parts to walls, a giant metal fist, a giant claw.
Now, I have always wanted a giant claw.
Too late, human.
I actually want a power fist.
I've really got to get out of here soon.
Most of these weapons interact with enemies completely differently, so you can have fun for hours on end just messing around with them. Why must the empty face hole of a Mirelurk haunt my dreams forever? People apparently dick on the rocket launcher, but honestly they're nothing more than degenerate scum. To elaborate, the rocket launcher is a gun that can be loaded with pretty much any object you can find out in the
Oh,
wasteland.
rocket launcher. I was like, what the fuck? Because when I played it in Russian. I didn't know English very well, and I got it from a disc, not from the internet, so it was much easier for it to be in Russian.
Would obviously be a pretty boring event.
So rocket launcher didn't mean
don't
anything to
thank
me.
It's the yeast I can do.
I think it's a cool
This
weapon.
varied selection of weapons, combined with the fabulous VAT system,
It's
means
hilarious.
that although exploration itself can get pretty sparse at times, the combat usually stops it from ever getting too boring. Of course, the combat in this
Yeah.
series is great. It has to be. How else would Fallout Best Vegas be the pinnacle of all creation if it wasn't?
I kind of want him to tear Fallout New Vegas in US, but like I don't think that happens. He's trying to be very objective about things, and I think Fallout New Vegas is objectively like better than 3. But just going at it like there's like shit and worse than 4. I don't know. It just would be hilarious to go to comments video like that.
Fallout 3's story certainly is a mixed bag, one that contains half the Holy Grail and the other half James Corden's autobiography. In this story, you need to find your missing father. Then once you do that, you need to help him de-irradiate all the water in the wasteland. And that's the gist. To do this, we need to explore a few different locations, and I'd say the first half of the overall story is pretty good. For example, when you do eventually find your dad, he's hooked into a virtual reality simulation controlled by a mad scientist whose only goal is to torture its inhabitants to gain some kind of existential satisfaction. His name is Stanislaus Brown, yet he spends all his time disguised as a little girl.
Certainly not what I had anticipated.
It's great! To be fair, there's not a lot to interact with once you join this reality, but what makes this experience fun is Braun himself and his motivations. He's been given some really great depth beyond just being a madman. For example, it seems that this simulation was once actually a ski resort, and you can find one of his diary logs from that time. Yesterday, Dithers slipped on the chalet's icy stairs. She went airborne and managed to impale herself on the wrought iron fence. It was spectacular and completely and utterly random.
I respect all cultures equally highly.
Is there anything more sublime than bold crimson on fresh fallen snow? He talks all the time about being sick of creating specific torturous events for the people unknowingly trapped here. He longs for a more organic or creative suffering for them. It's clever. I like it. I'm a normal person. But then the story asks you to explore other places like Rivet City, and honestly, I'd rather just eat rivets themselves. I'll take my award to go. Rivet City is a grey boat with doors, or as I like to describe it, Door City is a grey boat with rivets. Another zinger. There isn't really anything here of consequence beyond this fucking laboratory, but over 40 people seem to live here, none of which have any more depth than the pool of grease on a cheap oven pizza.
Alright, Matt, maybe you need to dial it back a little bit, you know? We're gonna upset some people here.
90% of the quests here just ask you to find character X and regale them with a inane fact Y. But the layout of this boat,
If I remember correctly, you go here first, and then you fuck off to the vault where your dead is kept.
is completely ridiculous. Not only is every part of this place fucking identical in every way, but there are dozens of hallways, and in total they consist of 33 separate doors. It takes less than 10 seconds to walk the entire length of this boat. Why are there so many doors? If someone asks you to find someone else, as they inevitably will, because that's the only type of quest this fucking boat offers, you'll have to walk across every single corridor on a floor, checking every single door you come across, hoping you'll strike it lucky and have the name of the person you're looking for eventually appear in front of you. But no, you'll inevitably be on the wrong floor, so you have to navigate through 2 more doors just to get to the next floor.
I had never found Rivet City
same long empty corridor
that
to check the
difficult to
names of another
navigate through.
dozen people you haven't even met yet, only to find the door, enter, and see they're not even home at the moment, so instead their room is actually filled with, I don't know, aliens. That'd be more interesting, wouldn't it? Also, of these 33 doors, 15 of them have loading screens associated with them. And if you're playing on the Xbox 360, these take 9 seconds to get through. This means if you were to go through every single door in this tiny location just once, it would add up to over 7 minutes of loading time. But it won't just be once, will it? Because not only is this place a maze of nonsensical navigation, you need to come through here at least twice just to finish the story. Oh goody, I can't wait to enter the marketplace. I see how it is. Geographically, the marketplace is right behind this wall, but there's no direct way to get to it, is there? So you have to go outside and go back in again. This means it takes over 20 seconds just to go to one... Look, no, it's fine. I'm over it. Clearly, I'm over it. And it's a shame because wrapped up in this awful place is a side quest called The Replicated Man, and it's genuinely one of the many highlights of this game. This quest is so good, in fact, Bethesda took it in its entirety, stretched it out so thin I'm surprised it didn't slip into a lower dimension, and repackaged it as another $60 sequel. But we'll cover that in the next decade.
Overall, this game has some ups and downs, but generally I think it's pretty good.
I stand by my man.
However, the last 5 hours of this game, divine.
The final act of this game is so utterly terrible.
Oh, hell
so
yes.
inexcusably awful. It actually dips into being pretty good. It's like the
Yeah.
uncanny valley or something. You just can't look away as you feel your retinas burning their way through your skull. Basically,
I don't know.
just as you're
I very, very enjoyed it starting with the Vault 87. And then going from Vault 87 to the Enclave, and then like all that into the end. I think I enjoyed it. I think I was very good.
Wasteland, the main
Maybe not a bit
antagonists of this
nonsensical,
game,
but
the Enclave, turn up and kill your dad. Liam Neeson, dying in a work of popular culture. Bethesda, you did it again. Part 5, who the fuck are the Enclave? In Fallout 2, the main antagonists are the Enclave, just like in Fallout 3. And they are subtly introduced throughout the entire game by means of hidden cutscenes and hushed conversations. All in all, they were pretty hard to miss, but most of the time you still felt like you were chasing shadows. In Fallout 3, the Enclave are introduced to you the very second you start the game by means of a radio broadcast they themselves are putting out. So from the word go, you can listen to their evil leader talk about how he's evil and stuff.
I've been thinking quite a bit lately about something we can all relate to. I am referring, of course, to our great national pastime, baseball.
Naturally, I turned this radio station off.
I never
and
listened to that radio.
I admire
Whoa.
Bethesda's balls throwing the main antagonist our way within the first few seconds, but we don't see or hear from them again for another 20 hours or so, and barely anyone in the game even talks about them. When the Enclave turned up and killed my dad 13 years ago during my first playthrough, I genuinely had no idea who these people were. Oh no, not my dad, we had such a connection. So what are you guys, like the talent company or something? And I think someone at Bethesda was aware of this, because when the Enclave do suddenly appear out of thin air, the sewers are conveniently conveniently packed full of radios on full blast, all playing the Enclave radio station. Remember, it's those guys from 20 hours ago at the beginning of the game. We have no idea what we're doing. From here, though, the wheels don't just come off. The car fucking detonates. You are captured by Colonel Autumn, who died earlier alongside your dad. Now, given the rest of the plot in this game, I genuinely thought Autumn being alive here is just a plot hole. But I've since learnt before he dies, he does seem to inject himself with his own wrist. Clever girl. Which must be how he survives. So Autumn captures you and then later on revives you.
So, you're awake.
Jesus Christ, what am I doing? Autumn revives you in what
I
seems
don't
to
know.
be the Enclave base. Well,
But it seems fun.
It is the Enclave base, and asks for the code to start Project Purity. We tell him we don't know, and thus begins a battle of wits, the likes of which the world has never seen before or since.
You lie.
He fucks off, and the president, who's in charge of the entire Enclave, asks you to come and meet him. You leave your cell and immediately encounter the horrifying amalgamation of every single one of Bethesda's voice actors.
You're supposed to be in that holding cell. You're not going anywhere.
If I had a sister, I'd sell her in a second. What are you talking about? It's yours if you bring my claw back.
Please, get away from me. It's amazing this guy voiced half of every Bethesda game. Anyway,
Really?
sorry.
Wow,
I
he
went away
must be a
towards the
fucking
president, murdering everyone
millionaire.
at the base, and no one even seemed to notice. I genuinely started to feel a little bit bad towards the end. Eventually, I made it to the leader of the Enclave, the sentient supercomputer, the president of the United States, John Henry Eden. This has to end, Eden. You need to destroy yourself and this base.
Perhaps you're right.
I'm sorry, what? Immediately after meeting Eden, I was offered 3 separate options, all of which lead to him inexplicably committing suicide. In the first option, you ask him to, like I've just shown you, and he complies. The second method is to convince him using science. You can't be president. You're an abortion of science. You need to die.
Really? Do go on.
Only a human can be president, not some computer.
Go on.
Shut yourself down. Shut this whole place down.
Self-destruct sequence initialized.
Oh, come on, man. At least try and fight back. And the final way to win is 2 rooms prior to this one. You find a code in a footlocker that if you say it to him, he will start his self-destruct sequence. Who wrote this? Convincing this advanced supercomputer not to kill himself and everyone else around him is genuinely the real challenge. Just for context, John Henry Eden is a self-aware AI that has spent the last 200 years learning how to govern by studying in depth all of the past actions every president of the United States has ever made. Oh, I get it now. It all makes sense. What in the world was Bethesda thinking? Talking your way past the final boss in Fallout 1 was so difficult. Working it out was basically
I wish some current presidents self-destructed, and I'm not talking only about America.
Easter egg. So after my miraculous escape, we visit the Brotherhood, who are basically the goodies in this game, and we convince them to help us finish off what's left of the Enclave. They of course agree, and we all leave to take them on. I mean, this is a little awkward. I don't know
Hey,
if
Fox,
this is really
come
the
on.
time for this. Oh, for God's sake, now what's happening? What makes this event even better is this is basically a cutscene. There's only one way in and out of this room, so Lions will always go this way, and Forks will always be standing here because he literally joined my party 30 seconds ago as part of the main story. How did this happen? How did they get this so wrong? You then fight the Enclave in the street. You don't really have an impact on this sequence as Liberty Prime, the bringer of all destruction.
Hell yeah, I love Liberty Prime.
To the Enclave, they really aren't scared of certain doom. We eventually
The Liberty Prime is so fucking cool. It's just giant robot that you help fix, and then it goes and destroys the Chinese, I mean the Enclave. The joke here is because he was supposed to go, he was supposed to fight or did fight for the Americans against the Chinese before the what happens in events. I only remember the word in Russian before the events of Fallout series.
make it
Anyway.
back to Project Purity and once again bump in.
And they loved it so much that they put him in a DLC for this game and then in Fallout 4.
Into the bastion of intellect that is Colonel Autumn.
And I was happy to see him again.
You again?
You again? Why do people keep saying you again? Just walk away. It's not too late.
Very well. I shall leave you to your fate. How can I be sure you won't just shoot me once I turn my back on you?
Well, you're just gonna have to trust me.
Guess I shouldn't be surprised that you just let him walk away. It's amazing the world hasn't beaten that out of you.
Wait, what?
We then go to Project
That
Purity,
actually
but
happened?
to activate it, someone has to
Okay.
enter the chamber filled with radiation from earlier. Fortunately, a few hours ago, we met the all-knowing divine entity that is our true Lord and Savior, Forks. I fucking love you, Fox. Being a
Fox is
superhuman,
amazing.
Fox is practically immortal, so we send him in to deal with this tough situation.
No, I'm sorry, my companion, but, no.
Fox, what are you doing? Everyone's looking at us, Fox. I told these guys you were cool. So Fox adamantly refuses to save the day. But it doesn't make any sense. This exact contrived scenario literally happened about an hour ago when he offered to enter a high radiation chamber for us to gather the Gek. Why doesn't he just do this again? Through it all, though, I of course stay calm and gently voice my opinion to him. Oh, what a loss to the world. So I enter the chamber, realize I have no idea what the code is to start the purifier, and I die, leaving the world the exact same way I found it, just like in real life. End. 2 out of 10. Don't see me. But you know what really squirrels my stick? What really refines my punger fruit? When you complete Fallout 1 and 2, you are told over a series of still images the specific impact your adventure across the wastes will have on the world. As a basic example, in Fallout 1 there's a group of raiders that you encounter early on. If you let them all live, the ending of the game includes this cutscene.
The desert raiders pillage most of the northern parts of New California. They are a scourge that lasts for years.
Now this of course will change if you decide to kill the raiders, but what's so clever about all this is not only do you feel responsible now for letting the raiders go, it makes you want to play the game again differently. It fleshes out the game world. It makes you feel like this world existed before you and will exist after you. And best of all, it requires very little work to do this beyond a...
That is a very good way to make an ending for the game that has a lot of choices that matter. I don't think Fallout 3 had that many. But, nonetheless, I'm losing my voice. 5-hour stream was way too much, apparently, for my throat. But it's a very good way to do the ending, and I wish more games did that.
Lines of voice acting.
Just very small.
Honestly, I always thought Fallout 3 did have an ending like this, but it doesn't. It just tells you some garbage about what an asshole you are.
But the child refused to follow the father's selfless example.
And then the game ends.
I said doing what Fallout 1 and 2 did would be easy, so I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and do it for Fallout 3. Bring it on.
So he didn't...
Following the deactivation of the bomb in
do the actual ending?
Several of the children of the apocalypse
and no DLCs?
Other perilous icons. These outcasts eventually settled at what is known as the West Tech Research Facility in California.
I guess video is long enough without it, but still.
Wreathed in its glow. With Harold's death, so too died his influence. As the years passed, the forests of the oasis faded, and the tree minders with their lush fields were passed down as nothing but myth. The synth known as Harkness was returned to Dr. Zimmer by the Lone Wanderer. Yet on their long journey back to the Commonwealth, they were ambushed by more compassionate souls, and Harkness was once again reclaimed as a free man. The Lone Wanderer killed almost 450 Talon Company mercs, but they were still everywhere in the wasteland. It's almost as if no one really gave them any thought at all. The only thing that really changes the ending of this game is whether or not you activate the purifier at the end. Which I, of course, didn't do.
Refused to follow the father's selfless example.
I remember.
Selfless! I didn't know what the password was! I still fucking died!
It probably says it in your Pip-Boy, you could have just tabbed it in. Like, oh, the notes. Oh, the purifier is 216 or whatever. Don't tell me is that if that's it. Please. Please don't. No.
Could I interest you in everywhere, all of the time? A bit of everywhere, all of the time.
Oh, hi! Glad to say I'm finally free. How did I escape? Well, we all have our secrets. No, don't look over there.
As I've said, and probably a little bit too much detail, this game does have a lot of flaws. Sure, the animations can be a little bit iffy.
Oh my god, it was so romantic.
And quite a lot of the time, everyone seems to be talking at once. But I genuinely think there is enough unique and interesting content in here to still say it's a great game. Worth literally the hundreds of hours we've all spent playing it. I'd say overall that the game's biggest flaw is that it's so open-ended that developers couldn't possibly predict what skills or items the player was going to have at any one time. time, and thus they couldn't design locations or levels accordingly. Not once did I
Yeah.
find an area that was a real challenge. Well, except maybe one. Or that I'd need to come back later to with better equipment. You can basically experience any part of this game from the word go. And although that is very exciting, it also means that you very rarely get a sense of achievement for the things you do. Too often this game ends up boiling down to killing all the enemies, collecting more numbers, or just crossing locations off on a map.
Oh, we're done now. Okay.
But still, you can go like into an area that's really not supposed to go, where the enemies are gonna be too difficult for you. You can't do that. Like, if you want to go to the fucking hotel and then you meet giant red scorpions, you'll get fucked up. At least I did when I played it first time, and I still remember it for some reason. But it still boils down to just killing enemies if you're able to or not. Maybe you'll find like a radioactive place and you don't have a radiation suit, or the one you have is broken. Stuff like that could happen. And you'll just have to return next time. So I think there are moments. It's just because the playthrough can be so varied, going from person to person. Some people could just manage to randomly find a route that'll give them items that could be useful at some point in time, and then they actually won't sell them, they won't throw them away, stuff like that. So I think it just comes down to everybody's experience with the game.
Well, I guess I should actually leave for real. Oh my god!
Human will never beat Kashit.
Oh, he's actually dead. Can't really say I expected that.
For some reason, I actually do think that Fallout 3 has a proper ending. I don't know why. Yeah, the camera is too low now, but it's okay. I'll fix it for the next video if I remember.
Seeing you again really makes me wish for a nuclear winter.
Oh, yeah. I gotta say, it feels good to finally show all that to you. Well, that's a normal thing to say. This video was sponsored by and made possible by Skillshare. Now, I've spent at least half my life in classroom education not really learning anything because I think that this is the way to learn. So just to explain, Skillshare is a place you can go online that is filled with thousands of classes for anyone that wants to learn new skills or just improve existing ones. Now, as fans of this illustrious YouTube channel, I know what you want. I got your fix. Skillshare has classes to help you with almost anything. Creative writing, film and video, photography, animation. To help me prepare for making videos like the one you've just seen, I took the class Fundamentals of DSLR Photography by Justin Bridges. This class taught me what all the settings on my camera actually mean. But more importantly, it explained what changing these settings does to the camera physically. For the first time in years, I filmed this entire video without
so there are
my
some things that are
cinematographer.
talked
Producing these
about,
complex
but
shots on my own
very
would have been
small
completely
amount.
impossible
Okay.
if I hadn't learned how ISO, shutter speed, and aperture actually work, and how they all interact. So wait, you're telling me that the F value is the camera's aperture? What? For years I've been calling it the value. Skillshare is designed with learning in mind, so there's no ads, and there are new premium classes being released all the time. Ooh, and as an added bonus, Skillshare's entire catalogue of classes now have subtitles in French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Dutch. Nailed it. So if you want to join me in learning or improving some skills, the first 1,000 of my subscribers that click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can start exploring your creativity today. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in 10 years when I finally review Fallout 4.
I really do wish he went with the DLCs. Because I think I remember that you can send Fox, first of all, to the station. I remember him doing that. Could it be a mod that I played, or maybe it is a part of a DLC? But I do remember that that can happen. I think. I don't know why. I have a distinct memory that Fox is inside there and it works. I don't know. Maybe because I was on drugs or something. I don't know. I never taken any drugs. Anyway, the point is that I wish he went with DLCs because the Spaceship Zeta, the Alien DLC, is pretty fucking good, and I forgot all the names, so I'm just gonna describe them. A DLC after the ending of the game is also pretty fucking good, I think. And those two I remember very distinctly. So I wish he did it. And I think after an ending of Fallout 3, the DLC after the ending of Fallout 3 adds some more context to what's happening to the, well, to the main character. Because I guess in Fallout 3, in a normal way, he just dies from radiation poisoning. But then with the DLC, he doesn't. And he continues living, but I wish, maybe, I don't think so, but maybe he will come back to it. Like, maybe people in the comments will tell him on the Patreon, somewhere people will tell him that the DLCs are good, you should check them out, there are more flavor to the game and stuff like that. Because he was talking about some mods, that you can mod the game a lot and stuff, like maybe fix some problems and add whatever. But he didn't say a single thing about DLCs, so it just feels to me, it's almost an hour long video, I'm sorry about that, but it feels to me that it's like an unfinished review. I don't feel satisfied after waiting like 2 months for this video. I'm not like trying to be spoiled or anything in this. It's just I hoped he went through everything that the game has to offer, but not like everything. I didn't expect him to go through like random locations as much as he said. Well, he might have not went through all of them, so that's fine. But just at least mention them, tell like the thoughts about them, are they worth it or not. I just wanted to hear his actual thoughts about the matter. But anyway, it's an hour-long video, so I should wrap it up. Thank you anybody who watched this, I appreciate it a lot. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.